puts it here, the two contrary states of the human spirit, that innocence and experience. What he in essence says is that I will not deal with external nature as my primary subject. I will not deal with external behavior of people as my primary subject. I will not deal with actions or interactions with people or things as my main subject. What I'm really trying to do is paint and write the internal realities of the human spirit. Now, the minute you start to do that, what kind of poetry do you have to write? Think about it for a moment. It's very similar to if you're going to write purely religious poetry. If you're going to write poetry that is basically drawn from the innocence or the experience of the human soul, then how are you going to have to use language, and how are you going to have to use images? That is the pictorial, if you like, metaphor and symbolism. And I think if you think about that for a minute, you see that what you have to do at that point is you have to write a profoundly symbolic kind of poem. Why is that? Because none of us has seen in its naked form the human spirit. We see human beings, but we can't see in a laboratory pure way the human spirit. It's inside. It's in some sense unreachable by direct means. It is something that is intangible. Just as a religious poet, in other words, we can't see God directly. We can't see salvation directly. We can't see grace directly. We can't see eternity directly. We have to see them in what? In symbols, in figures, and in signs. Why is Christianity or any other religion so big on symbols and signs and rituals? Because they are ways of embodying symbolically things that no ear has heard and no eye has seen. They are beyond ordinary sense, and so we use symbols to suggest those larger things. Blake is that kind of poet. He is a profoundly symbolic poet. When he gives you an account of a tiger, as he does in that most famous, perhaps, of his short poem, he is not just, in fact, he's not mainly talking about a tiger, is he? He is talking about the condition of mind and of imagination that sees the tiger in that particular way. So the tiger is not mainly a natural description. It is not mainly a description of an actual tiger. It is a description through the tiger of a state of mind. And so the tiger, in essence, becomes a symbol. It becomes a symbol of the experienced imagination and how the experienced imagination sees nature. And I think you will find that that's the reason, you see, that when we read Blake, I think one of the most striking things that we perceive about Blake is that virtually everything that he writes seems simple on the surface, but it opens up all kinds of complex and deep and profound possibilities. In fact, you could sometimes say that the meaning of much 18th century poetry is actually very simple, but that the language is complex.